Hi folks, welcome to Speak Now, Amplifying Teacher and Student Voice. My name is Steph Suko and I'm coming from District 155 and I'm here to talk to you about how we can celebrate and honor our teachers' voices and in turn honor our students' voices. Today we'll be using Pear Deck, so you can see that if you want to interact with this slide, even though we're asynchronous, you can go to joinpd.com and enter the code JVHSGM. So this is a great tool that amplifies every person's voice, because whether you're in the room or you're, on a digital platform, synchronous or asynchronous, you can collect and engage with people in so many different ways. So I'm going to be toggling back and forth from the teacher presentation view to the student view so you can see how Pear Deck can be used to enhance that engagement and that connectivity between the presenter and the learners in the room. So first things first, I am going to open up, like I said, the student view of this. And so now this is what students would see if they enter that code. Pear Deck is one of my go-to tools to work with and to use with students. I also love using it with educators as we are engaging in professional development. What's nice about Pear Deck is you can embed other applications or app smash, so you can increase that engagement and amplifying that voice in so many different ways. So here, I'm going to turn on student pace mode. So now I can go through it on the other side as a student. And I'm going to show you how I've embedded several links and resources into this Pear Deck today. So let me move my screen over here. So I always love to start with an SEL slide or a connection. This one is actually from Pear Deck. So Pear Deck has so many pre-made slides that you can use during your lesson. There's some that are engagement and like SEL focused. There are some that are content focused. And so there's really so much you can play with if you haven't played with this amazing tool. And here you can see like students can draw, students can type. I teach high school seniors primarily, and so it is really, really fun to see what they draw and they come up with, and they get really into Pear Deck. So it's definitely a tool that appeals to all ages and can be used in so many different facets. Now, today we're going to have a three-part connection to this. Because this is video, feel free to pause and come back to this. I know there's a lot of information being thrown at you. There's also things that you can engage with. So again, feel free to pause at any time. But first things first, we're going to talk about discussing the power of student voice in the classroom. And then we'll move forward and consider how we might empower and amplify teacher voice. And when our teachers feel empowered, then they in turn can empower our students. And finally, we'll reflect on how we can foster a more collaborative school climate and culture, which again leads to more sharing, more storytelling, and amplification of all people's voices. So if you want to make this session interactive, again, go to joinpd.com and then you can download the slides. You can also work with the slides, in Pear Deck as well. So first things first, let's take a roster. If you could fill out the Google form on the right-hand side of your screen, you can then go through and see who has engaged in this as well. So you can click on the roster, and that way we can connect to each other. I love, again, if I'm working with students, whether they're synchronous or asynchronous, embedding different applications into the Pear Deck, because then it controls the screen. So my students stay on one screen, especially if it's in teacher paced, then we're all on the exact same screen. But again, it gives so many opportunities to collect information, to engage with different websites, and so on. So first question for all of you: how does giving students and teachers a voice in the classroom benefit the school learning community? Why does voice matter? Asking ourselves what's our why every day, no matter what we're doing, whether it is instructing young children, working with high school age children, working with adults. What is our why? And how are we getting other people to articulate that why and have that buy-in? Also, how does your school promote collaboration among teachers, students, and other stakeholders as well? So take a minute to answer those questions. And then if you want to use your draw tool, can you circle or highlight any of the various tech tools that you use to amplify various voices within your school community? One of my favorites is, of course, and I can circle this, is Pear Deck. I love all of these tools. This year I have recently gotten very into podcasting, and that's something we'll talk about later in this session. I couldn't survive without Video and my learning management system. So circle the tools that you use to amplify and celebrate voice in your community. And let's get started. Let's start with our students because they are the reason that we're here. So looking here, the definition according to Bill Palmer in his article from Edutopia, student voice refers to the values, opinions, beliefs, perspectives, and cultural backgrounds of our students. We can use different teaching tools and strategies to amplify that voice, giving students more choice, appealing to their interests and their passions and their ambitions as well. So why amplify student voice? Students deserve to be heard. We are spending so much time in recent conversations talking about our diversity, equity, and inclusion, making sure that every student has a place at the table, has their voice heard, is represented. And so as we start to think about that, we want to make sure that we are celebrating and amplifying their passions, their values, and their cultural backgrounds, because those all matter. When we empower teachers to teach students to use their voice, we are developing a future in which our real world, we are more collaborative, we're more cohesive, and we're able to work together to solve some big problems in the world. And that's what we're hoping our students can walk away with. So amplifying student voice lifts up every voice. Again, it increases that awareness of diversity and equity and making sure that every single person is represented, because every voice matters. Providing multiple ways for our students to get involved, to engage in the curriculum, to have access to learning can really empower them and give all of our students a strong educational experience. So one way to do that is by video. One year I had a first hour with, I think, 8 to 10 kids that were chronically absent. There was a lot of different factors that were a part of that. And so this was pre-pandemic, but I started really working on flipped classroom and video instruction. And sometimes those videos were watched live in class, or sometimes I was just recording my lessons. But videos in the classroom allows us to engage and communicate asynchronously. It also, just like with this video, you can pause, you can rewatch a segment, you can come back to a segment. Some of our students need to hear content multiple times. When we record our lessons, when we create a flipped environment, we are creating a catalog of different videos and resources that our students can use when they're with us and when they're not with us as well. Also, video is a really creative platform, and it makes learning visible. It allows us to revisit those lessons in conversation and, again, reach beyond those walls. Video is my favorite tool for video creation. And if you'd like a full detailed walkthrough, you can click on this video right here. And again, it allows us to share assignments. It allows us to explore different features. There's so much time and so many things we can do with videos as teachers. We can also empower our students to become the teachers too and engage in that creation process as well. We know the best way to learn something is to teach it. And so why not flip that role onto your students with video creation? Again, if you want to see that video, there's the walkthrough video right here that you can take a look at. But here are some ways that you can amplify student voice using a video platform. You can have students create PSAs. They can do research. They can relate it to any different topic that you're teaching, and they can share that out on any of their platforms. That you can share it out with parents as well to help engage students that way. You can also record skits and apply creativity to the classroom. Making commercials is also a really fun way to get information out there and review key concepts. Or you can even have them create a podcast on their own. And we're going to talk about podcasting in a little bit. Another really cool thing with Video, with a lot of different video platforms, is the green screen feature. And in Video, you can take out a background and you can have students create something really creative. And so if you want to learn more about video creation. I'm not going to play this, but I did make a green screen video with my littles, and I can show you just how easy it is to utilize this tool. If you click on the handout here, here's a walkthrough of how you can use WeVideo to create a green screen video. And this is something your students can do. This is something you can do, but there's just so much creativity and ways to amplify voice with your green screen. Moving forward here, another great tool that can amplify student voice is Flip, formerly known as Flipgrid. I'm still struggling with saying just Flip, but Flip allows every single student to have a voice. I've even used it in a classroom where everyone is doing Flip at the same time. And especially if students are using a Chromebook, the camera or the microphone usually is like right below in front of the screen. So then students, as long as they're talking straight into their Chromebook or their device, they're able to be picked up pretty easily. But it allows people to share ideas. It encourages face-to-face discussion and reflection. It also can curate topics of information. So there's so much that you can do with Flip. Flip can be great for if you are running out of time and you've got presentations. Students can record their presentations, they can watch each other, and there's so many things that they can do with that. Flip also gives the podcast option. So I have used this as a basic platform to create some podcasts, and students can just do audio as well. Flip continues to evolve in terms of their camera and their special effects. And so there's some really cool things that you can do with that as well. And again, the great thing about videos is they can be shared. And so if you want to, you could have your students record videos and send them to parents. You can find ways to encourage students to share out their work in a real world setting so that, again, their ideas, their thoughts, they're not just staying stagnant in a classroom, but they can be pushed out and shared out in so many really cool ways. Other things to take a look at when it comes to Flip, they're great for self-reflections. Students can watch other students. You can also do pen pals or Flipgrid friends, and you can make connections with different classrooms throughout the country, even in different countries as well. So the other thing you can do is you can comment and give feedback. And Flips are fast. They can be informal, and they can be a lot of fun too. If you're new to Flip, if you love a walkthrough video, you can watch this video. It goes into a lot of detail on how to use this tool. There are so many resources out there for video creation. These are some of my favorites. One from the ASCD. Another one is from Avid. There is Edutopia and Ditch That Textbook. So you can explore any of these resources on even more ideas on how you might use video in your classroom, whether it's synchronous or asynchronous. So here are some more. And now I've said a lot. Again, I highly encourage you to pause this video, come back to it, engage with some of the tools, explore some of the resources. But I'd like for you to share some examples of how you've seen other teachers amplifying student voice in the classroom. Maybe it's creating a literary magazine. Maybe it's pushing something out digitally. I would love to hear how you or maybe one of your favorite colleagues has amplified student voice. And Padlet is right over here. You can hit that plus button and you can add your comments. I also here's a user hack here when it comes to Pear Deck. I like hyperlinking the topic in there as well. Moving on to step 2, consider how we might empower and amplify teacher voice in the greater school community. So now we're going to shift gear and focus on our colleagues. Let's think about sharing some experiences. When educators are more collaborative, they bring their diverse knowledge and we can share our experiences at the same table. This sharing of expertise allows teachers to learn from each other, gain insights. And so how do we create and foster a community that promotes that collaboration? When and how can we create spaces for teachers to share their experiences? And time is one of our most limiting factors here. So take a minute, think about what are some of those great opportunities and how we can encourage teachers to share. And so my big questions are, when is that going to happen and how is that going to happen? When? During regular staff meetings, PLC meetings, free periods, lunch, asynchronous. I think the more and more things get added to teachers' plates, the more asynchronous opportunities we can create, the more we can be inclusive of all voices. So finding ways to get creative with time and give teachers time back, or at least empower them to choose when they can do that professional learning and sharing is really powerful. We know face-to-face conversations are so key, formal meetings, but online, informally, sometimes that's when the most creative and the best things occur. So thinking about that as well is really powerful. But what are the barriers? Again, I alluded to already, time is, so critical. So what are some options that work for all teachers? Culture and climate can sometimes prevent people from feeling comfortable with sharing. Creating a culture in which it is okay to make mistakes, it's okay to fail, can be really powerful. And professional development or other opportunities don't always align with teacher goals. And so we want to make sure that we are honoring and adhering to what's relevant and what's timely to our teachers. The benefits of teacher voice in a school community leads to that stronger school climate and culture, increases student achievements. If teachers want to be there, students can feel that, and they'll catch up on that energy too, and they'll want to achieve even more. Increasing teacher autonomy is a transformative practice, and it reduces teacher turnover. So those are all really important reasons why teacher voice matters, and empowering our colleagues and elevating and amplifying and celebrating all the amazing people that come together in a school is key. Again, culture first. Create a sunshine committee, or call it a family committee at Crystal Lake South is what we call it. But ask for volunteers. Get some of your most engaging, vivacious, and fun teachers to get the buy-in. Once they get buy-in, that builds up morale, that causes people to want to continue to get involved. This year we focused a lot on bringing people together, whether it's group challenges, food is always popular with teachers, but model those positive experiences so that teachers continue to push that out to their students. Recognizing and celebrating teachers is also really important too. Featuring great teacher work, highlighting birthdays, having teachers of the month, all of those things make a big difference. One thing that I love is something that I wish my teacher knew is a great station for students to leave comments, but creating a space where teachers can leave comments to admin, I think is really positive too. Post-it notes. Post-it notes are so easy to stick on a door, stick on a desk. The more we can give positive affirmations and feedback, the more we show we care. But just like the what I wish my admin knew or what I wish my teacher knew, give them opportunities to give you feedback as well. Okay, so I have a Post-it template that you can download here. And sometimes I use this for my students, and I'll put it on their Chromebooks so they know what to do if we're doing any sort of blended learning activity. I also sometimes design really cute Post-it notes that I leave for teachers as inspirational comments. I put my Bitmoji on there, but you can run these through the printer. And so if you print this out, it is in Post-it note size. And as long as you know how to feed your printer correctly so you don't cause any jams, I do this all the time. It takes time to do, but it's so worth it. And it creates just really fun, cute Post-it notes. So if you want to learn more, you can click on that link and that'll walk you through it. Another really great tool is Goose Chase, which is a freemium tool. It is an app that you download on your phone, and it allows you to create 3 groups free. We hacked the system where we used 2 different emails and we created 6 groups across the entire building, gave them instructions, and we did a week-long challenge scavenger hunt, and I think they had 75 challenges that they did throughout the week. And all of the challenges, they have to take pictures or videos. So all of that content collects in that one email or 2 emails in this case. And we were able to make a really cool homecoming video, and teachers went nuts for it. They were so excited, so engaged. Every division came together, and it was a great way to really make the fun visible in the school. You can even do this with your students as well, and it's just a really fun challenge and way to collect content. Also, offer different types of PD. Give various options. This year, we've started book clubs, which have been really, really popular because they're asynchronous. Teachers get CPDUs for it, but it really brings people together and allows people to showcase many different things across not only one building, but an entire district. Here are some of my favorites. A lot of these are the Dave Burgess Company. These books are really, really powerful. Currently, we're doing Recipes for Resilience. We're going to do AI for Educators from Matt Miller later this year. And so there are just some really cool books that you can use with your teachers. Another really great thing is to create a weekly template, a coaching corner, an opportunity to give staff shout outs, come up with instructional ideas, tech tools, and things like that. This can be something pushed out weekly, but if you create running a slideshow, then teachers have access to that over time. You can also amplify teacher voice through podcasting. And if you click on this link here, it'll take you to my podcast with my friend Corey Schwarzbach, and we call it Teach in 10. It is a 10 minutes or less podcast that comes out bi-monthly or bi-weekly, and we celebrate and feature a different teacher every 2 weeks, and we focus on a theme. This semester, we're focusing on engagement. Next semester, we're focusing on special programs, and it celebrates people within our district. The possibilities are endless, and creating a podcast, literally, all you need is a computer. We do have a Yeti, we have a fancy mic, but you don't even need that to be able to create really amazing products for free and push it out to a wide audience. Amplifying that teacher voice and celebrating those teachers is really powerful. We use Spotify for podcasts, which used to be called Anchor, and it creates that RSS feed that can then be embedded and shared to all these different platforms, which you can take a look at. Here's our template. If you're interested in starting your own template or just looking at some of our tips and tricks, we keep the questions very consistent. We keep them very short and basic, which allows each teacher, each participant to be able to share their voice. And so here's our intro, here's our outro. And again, it's just something really powerful and a great way to make connections and really celebrate and honor amazing teachers in our district. All right, so we've got to that time here. Parking lots are really great places, or it's a great strategy to gather questions. If you want to share some ideas, you can share an idea here on different ways that you've amplified teacher voice. You can also ask follow-up questions here. And I love, again, using Padlet with Pear Deck because it's all on one screen and it curates that information. Making people's voices visible helps highlight, celebrate, and connect people across, all of our busy schedules. So feel free to add to the parking lot. Again, I would love to know how you might empower and amplify teacher voice. Starting in 2024, what might you do to celebrate teachers? And let's move on to step number 3. Let's reflect on how we might foster a more collaborative school climate culture. I really, really love the Dave Burgess Company and the books that they have, but it's all about being all in on leadership. School culture is something that's magical. And when you walk into a school where adults want to be there, you know that you're going to create a really successful environment. I also really think that it's important to vision cast. Don't just plan as you go. Make sure you use those backwards design principles that teachers use in the classroom. Use that with staff too. Map out what you want the year to look like and plan backwards from there. And then there's a really great podcast and article from Jennifer Gonzalez, all on backwards design. Again, it applies with adults too. How do we foster that collaboration? It's all about finding the big picture. It's all about celebrating people and having very clear and positive communication. Once you have that, that's when learning can become transformative. We don't want to just be ordinary. We want to be that fish out of water. And we have to understand that it takes many steps to transform a culture. It doesn't just happen overnight. That question of, if your students didn't have to be there, would you still be teaching what you're doing? Or would you still be, if we didn't have staff in the building, would you still be going through your mission? Thinking about, would students come by choice? Would our teachers come back by choice? How do we make them want to come back? Promote creativity, embrace uniqueness, support personal strengths, and again, give people autonomy and choice. That goes for not only our students, but also for our staff. Enthusiasm. Ralph Waldo Emerson is one of my favorite quotable quote people, and nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm is so true. We have to have that positivity, not let the negativity come in. Focus on what empowers you and what empowers others, and try to model that enthusiasm. So you can take a minute here if you're following along on the Pear Deck and draw what enthusiasm looks like. I love, again, giving students abstract things to draw can be really powerful and really fun. So I'd love to see what you come up with. One of my favorite speeches is, and we're going to skip through here, this Georgia Tech freshman convocation. This individual gets so wild and riled up about speaking and sharing. Okay, so it is really cool. You should watch the whole thing. But he goes nuts for encouraging and getting excited, getting new people to Georgia Tech to want to change the world, to want to do incredible things. Then there's an interview that he talks about how he went way over the top, but that enthusiasm was so contagious. And that's what we need to bring to our schools every day. Another really great, this video makes me cry every time. If you've seen The Greatest Showman, this is the Bearded Ladies song, and this is their rehearsals before they officially filmed. You can see Hugh Jackman is watching her in the background, and he cries, and everybody's crying and coming together. The song is all about revealing your inner self and being authentic, and I think that's why it gets me every time, is when we are authentic and passionate, that energy, that enthusiasm is so contagious. And that's what makes a school climate culture so, so powerful. Now, all of these things don't happen in these big leaps. The greatest way to create that climate and culture that everyone wants to be a part of and wants to collaborate is by taking small and intentional steps. Setting the stage for learning is so important. We have to go all in, but we also have to acknowledge that it's a process, and it's okay that it's a process. We're on this journey together. Remember, you don't know who's watching you, whether it's students, other adults, but your journey is inspiring. So don't give up on that journey. And another person who's now, I think, into his 20s, but Kid President gives a really great job talking about how teachers are superheroes, because you are, and you're making a difference in so many lives, and you might not even know that. Your journey to greatness is Plan Like a Pirate is another offshoot of Teach Like a Pirate, but I really like this handout because it talks about finding a crew, coming together, whether it's people in your building, outside your building, but discovering the treasures and embracing the waters, because sometimes education is tough and exhausting, but our journey to greatness starts by being intentional and finding ways to connect with others. So, thinking about feedback, how are you giving teachers that voice? As you're planning all these initiatives and incorporating new ideas into the classroom, into your schools, what are you doing to elicit that feedback so you know how to keep making those small and intentional steps? How do you feel about amplifying voice? I hope that there's at least one takeaway for you on this journey that we've just been on together. Any questions you still have? What are some takeaways? Please leave me some feedback. And please fill out this really quick form so that I know how I can adapt my message to support people moving forward. So thank you for participating in Speak Now, and I hope you have a great rest of your conference. If you want to collaborate, here's my email, here's my Twitter or X. I'm pretty active on that as well. I'm happy to collaborate and connect with you, and I hope you have a great holiday season and a great 2024.